my name is Glenn Benedict, and I would like to talk with you today about trans literature for children and young adults, what we as educators and librarians need to know. Trans people face discrimination, higher rates of poverty, risk of health concerns not covered by insurance. LGBTQ young people are at a higher risk for bullying, suicide, violence, and other problems than other adolescents, and transgender teens are at the highest risk. Over 75% report not feeling safe at school. So, as educators and librarians, what can we do to ensure that our information organizations provide needed materials and services to this population? So the American Library Association advocates proactively providing and including materials representing diverse views on gender identity and expression. Exposure to positive, authentic portrayals in literature, whether fiction or nonfiction, validates readers' identities and experiences. Literature gives readers who are not transgender a window into their peers' experience, which increases empathy and understanding. So just a few notes on terminology that I'm going to be using. Cisgender refers to an individual who identifies as the gender they were assigned at birth. Transgender is an individual who identifies as something other than the gender they were assigned at birth. Gender expression is defined by GLAAD as characteristics and behaviors that can be described as masculine or feminine or something other or in between. Gender identity is a deeply felt sense of being male, female, or something other or in between. LGBTQ, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Q can stand for queer, it can stand for questioning. And finally, trans, which is the term that I'll be using in this presentation with an asterisk, is a blanket term that's used to cover a variety of gender identities and expressions, including transgender, transsexual, gender nonconforming, genderqueer, two-spirit, and non-binary. Transgender is underrepresented by mainstream publishers, so it is underrepresented in scholarly and professional sources. Many of the publishers releasing trans materials are small publishers, and they may not be known to selectors who primarily work with children's and young adult material. Issues that are specific to trans individuals can become lost in the broader LGBTQ community. So although there are very many sources for LGBTQ books that are available to librarians and educators, books by and about trans individuals can be hard to find. For example, a review of 29 YA books by Letcher only includes 2 with explicitly transgender themes. Another article with recommended LGBTQ novels for middle and high school students only featured 1 trans-themed novel out of a list of 13. So although underrepresented even among LGBTQ reading lists, there are resources for finding trans materials for children and young adults. Blogs and other internet sources are excellent resources for selectors, especially to find books from small and independent publishers. When adding trans-themed materials to a collection, it is important that users of that collection be able to easily find those books. Subject headings used in the OPAC can and should be used to assist patrons in locating these items. Pathfinders and subject guides are other ways to assist users in locating trans materials. Displays for special occasions, such as LGBT History Month, Pride celebrations, or the Transgender Day of Remembrance, can generate awareness of trans materials in the collection, along with broader social concerns. So when it comes time to evaluate trans materials, sometimes the representation in these materials is less than ideal. So here are some questions that selectors can ask when evaluating whether a book is an authentic portrayal of a trans character. Is the author trans? A crucial component of authenticity is lived experience. So while a cisgender author may be able to write a convincing trans character, giving trans authors a platform to tell their own stories is important. Is the transgender the protagonist, or is the story being told through the perspective of another person? How dimensional is the voice of the trans character? Are they well-rounded? Do the challenges faced by the trans character reify transphobia? Is discrimination against trans individuals presented as quote-unquote normal? What awards has the book won? How has the book been reviewed, not just in the traditional literature, but also among the wider readership? Again, looking at Amazon or Goodreads as a resource, because without traditional support to guide selection, librarians and educators need to look to specialized and internet resources. So while the state of LGBTQ collections for children and young adults is improving, selectors must proactively seek out books with trans protagonists and writers. This can be difficult if a selector is only choosing books from a few LGBTQ recommendation sources. Trans books are underrepresented even in the professional and scholarly literature. By looking beyond these usual sources, librarians and educators can find a wealth of resources to stimulate learning, empathy, and understanding among readers of all ages.